Oh man, I sure do love a good album. But I think it goes to show that this just wasn't a good album, guys. It was a fantastic one. What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Crypt. Welcome back to another video. Today's video, I'm giving you guys my album review of Logic's No Pressure, and I felt like I would take pretty much the Anthony Fantano approach, where I would talk about the album relatively and in general, and tell you all the things that I liked about it, the things that I didn't like about it, and not really do a track-by-track breakdown of sorts. But before I get into this video, I want to shout out the sponsor of this video, Guardian Tales.
Corona's got us locked inside, so I got a game for you to try. If you click that link down low, you'll find Guardian Tales, and bro, it's so fine. An RPG with a storyline and several different game modes, bro, I don't lie. So hold the phone and listen to my flow so I can show you how dope this is with my rhymes. Game mode 1 is a 1v1, and the one who won is the one who moves on. Game mode 2 is a 4-man crew with a group of dudes who feud a new boss. Game mode 3 is a single story player line. Stroll through the map and discover what Slayer's state of mind. Battle monsters and solve the puzzles, discover secrets and defeat your struggles. But if you get tired of that, please don't retire the app. There's plenty other things to do besides rap, like the floating castle. You can build your own map and generate money over time. But more than that, there's the guild mode. Build homes in real time with the real bros. Cowards and dungeons and other kill modes. So many things you can do with this game. So download now, dog, and don't wait.
Yo, shout out to Guardian Tales for sponsoring this video. This is a very unique game. As most of my subscribers know, I am not a stranger to the RPG games, but there is so much compacted down into this. Like, there is the classic storyline game mode that pretty much every RPG follows, but this one has some cool aspects to it. Like, you have to solve puzzles inside of the game mode to move forward in the map. It's like a mini escape room almost. Sometimes you can find like these little hidden dungeons and caves. There's a ton of different secrets to the game, so it gives you a reason to come back and keep playing and just to try to find new things. It's also got the online player mode. You can do a 4v4 or you can do a 1v1. They also have a tower and dungeons game mode, which I think is really interesting because there are certain levels that can only be beaten with particular characters or weapons. So again, it gives you another reason to keep playing the games and getting these characters. But when you get tired of the classic RPG battling stuff, they have floating castles, which is you just build your own castle and you can generate money over time, and it's a collective game. So it's cool in that way. You can start building your castle, and while that's happening, you can go over here and just like kick the crap out of somebody online, or you can work on your story mode. There's a lot you can do, okay? You can play this game for months on end. It's a free game on Android or Apple, so go down low in the description and click that link. It helps me out a lot, it helps them out a lot, and everything's just cohesively awesome. And again, thank you to Guardian Tales for sponsoring this video. After this video, go download it, okay? We got a deal? Okay, so as some of you guys know, I am a Logic fan. I've been following him for a number of years now, and I think he is extremely talented. But I was very, very critical on his last album, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, even going as far as to making everything wrong with the album, just because I was so upset and I felt like Logic was diluting his discography with this album, and it felt like a cash grab and everything else. And in hindsight, I was definitely too harsh on this criticism and review, and I forgot the #1 rule with all of this is that musicians are human, despite some of them having the superhuman lore surrounding them, kind of like Logic does. Sometimes the ultra stardom that Logic has can make you feel disconnected from them, but this album completely brought everything back down to earth for me. As far as albums go, cohesively and concept-wise, this is one of the best albums of 2020. Personally, I love being consumed by a project. I want to hear the first 2 tracks and then immediately want to know the rest of the story and don't want to do anything else, and I think Logic did an incredible job doing that with this album. The whole album is tied together by many different things, but some of the more notable ones is the 1940 sounding radio drama voice from Orson Welles, and Logic turns these snippets into seemingly seamless transitions of Logic's life, his career in music, his own thought process, and it's very captivating, and a good example of that is on the opening track, No Pressure. There's also the very nostalgic callbacks to Thalia, who is narrating after certain songs on this album. This has a very similar structure to Logic's Under Pressure, which is the predecessor of this album, and there's even certain phrases that Thalia says in No Pressure that are the exact same from Under Pressure, but the name of the project is just switched. Logic has even brought back legendary producer No ID to work with him on this album, and the last time they worked together was on Under Pressure. So before we get to any of the rap itself, the story is already there. And I think that is extremely necessary in making an album, is creating a story before the first rap is even spoken. And if this is truly Logic's final album, It's a picture-perfect way to go out. Now, of course, no album is without its faults. There are a couple things on here, like some repetitive lines that I've heard Logic use over and over again. You got the put the dick up in her rib, all I do is rhyme, homie, all I do is rhyme. And there's also a handful of punchlines that are just like a little shaky for me, like I'm back, like the muscles surrounding my vertebrae. But these instances are very, very few and far between. And by that, I mean, I think I can count all of them on one hand. Like, it's hardly noticeable. One thing that I really did enjoy about this album in general is the samples that Logic used and his ear for the samples and the amount of homage he has paid to several different legendary artists. GP4's interpolation of Elevators by Outkast is one of the most sonically pleasing things that I've heard this entire year. Obviously, paying homage to Outkast by sampling this, he shouts out Erykah Badu, T-Pain, several different legendary artists. And not to mention that this song is filled with several different flow switches, punchlines, and thought-provocative messages all at the same time, and that is a very common theme through the majority of the songs on this album. And one of my favorite lines and thought-provocative lines on this album comes from this song, where he says the greatest rapper alive is probably stacking produce, which is something that I think a lot of people don't even think about. They see stature and notoriety as success and skill, and that's just not the case. I'm heavily involved in like the YouTube rap scene and stuff, and I see people that are just absolutely insane that nobody even knows. And that's what Logic is getting at right here. I mean, people think, you know, they have these arguments that Eminem's the greatest rapper alive. Just all these people are the greatest rappers alive, but there could be somebody stacking produce in a grocery store that could out-rap all of them, but they don't have the money to do this, they don't have the equipment, they don't have the time, they don't have this, and this. Like, it's a really thought-provocative idea. And you can also hear Andre 3000 at the very, very end of this song saying, "It don't matter," and that just makes me smile that he included that in there, because he definitely didn't have to. Logic also samples We Got Love by Sonny in multiple tracks on this album. I think it's 2 specifically, but the use of it on Hit My Line made it easily my favorite song from this album. And honestly, it might even be one of my favorite songs that Logic has ever put out. The hook on this song works extremely well with the melody of the piano behind it, and Logic's rapping is as crisp and clear as ever. There are so many different ideas and concepts brought up in this song, and the biggest thing is it doesn't come off as preachy, which is a very tiptoey line. You can easily fall off to one side. I know a lot of people gave Logic that criticism with Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, is that some of his more conscious songs he was coming off as very preachy. But on Hit My Line, he's just speaking into the world, and people are relating with his ideas. This album is truly a roller coaster of emotions and nostalgia, especially if you're a Logic fan. But even if you're not, if this is your first time hearing Logic, it's truly an unpredictable ride. You have these happy celebratory tracks like Celebration and Amen that you just can't help but smile while listening to the song. But on the flip side, you have these really dark, deep songs like Dark Place that get into Logic's head in his most vulnerable state, speaking about his anxiety and his depression. But then you drive around the corner and you've got these lyrical onslaught songs like A to Z, which is filled with several different flow switches, punchlines, and really unique schemes. But once that is done, you look over here and you have a sense of realism in tracks like Dad Bod. Dad Bod is one of these songs that I feel like it's one of the first times anybody's actually rapped about what their life is and how they live it, and not rapping about the facade of the life that people think they live. I mean, for the love of God, he's rapping about walking through a grocery store thinking about which brand of trash bag is the best. But he does it in this way to show people, this is what my life is about, this is why I don't rap about it, so stop asking me to rap about my life and my material life, because this is it. You've also got songs like Perfect, which samples Street Fighter 2, so obviously I'm gonna love it straight off the bat. But Logic has the scheme with the end rhyme East on this song, where he doubles the end of every word with East, and they hit on the exact same part of the beat, and it's just a super interesting thing to listen to. It's hard to describe, but you can hear it once you listen to the song. This album has a little bit of everything, and honestly, that is something that I prefer. That's why music is subjective, but I love when albums pull from several different emotions, different music styles, just everything is a complete roller coaster. I don't want an album that's all sad, all happy, all trap beats, all boom bap, all this, all that. I want a mixture. I want somebody's album to give me an insight of what their life is like, and life is just a huge big mixture of emotions, which again is why I'm so gravitated and drawn towards albums created like this one. There's songs that put you into deep thought, songs that make you think about depression, songs that make you happy to be alive, songs that make you want to rap, songs that make you sit back and just go, you know, damn, that was a good song. And it's hard for me to say there's even a skip on this album, which is so rare in this day and age, especially with guys like me. I think one of the biggest highlights for me on this album is Soul Food 2, where Logic is rapping over the exact same beat from Soul Food, the original, off of Under Pressure, with a little bit different production on it. But I love how he starts off with the exact same bars, but he flips it to show his progression of music and his knowledge throughout his music career. Even on the songs that are lower on my preference list of listening, like Man I Is still written incredibly well and gives you a further insight on who Logic is, which is what I want from an album. I mean, this album is a complete 180 from Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. It saddens me to know that this is his quote-unquote retirement, but there are several different hints at Ultra 85, which is something that we've been hearing about for years now, it seems like. And Thalia even says this concludes No Pressure after the song Heard Him Say, and then says this starts the Ultra 85 project with Amen, which is the last song in the album that Logic is rapping to. So this does leave a small glimmer of hope that maybe this isn't his actual retirement, that he will come back, or at least just put the album out, because I feel like it's already recorded, but only time will tell. But No Pressure as an album, for me, in the words of Mr. Fantano, is a strong 9 to a light 10. That's not to say that every single song on the album is a 10 out of 10. There are some that are 7s and 8s and 9s, but I think when you put them all together, it creates this beautiful book or movie of No Pressure. I see it just like a movie, how some actors are not that great by themselves, but when you pair them with another actor that pulls certain aspects out of them, it creates an amazing scene and creates an amazing movie, which is what I feel about this album. The stories, the lyricism, the concept, the cohesiveness of the album are just all truly incredible to me. And I think that this is one of Logic's best, if not his best piece of work. But the beautiful thing about music is it's completely subjective. So comment your thoughts down below if you agree with me, what you would give this album at a rating out of 10. I would love to know your guys' opinion on that. I'm really close to 1 million subscribers, so if you've not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. And again, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. But that's the end of this video, guys. And until next time, it has been your boy Crypt, and I'm signing out.